So now how can we make this convenient and integrated to use? So our vision, and our team is working really hard to make Google TV sort of the user interface to your entertainment, to your living room. It's really the way how you get to content in your living room from both broadcast television or satellite or other set-top boxes that are connected over HDMI, or streaming directly digitally over the internet and bringing it to the television. So let's first look at, and I'll browse through this. There was an earlier talk where we did a lot about user research. So we really look how people find content, what they want to watch on their television. And usually people, if they know what they want, then they search for it. If they don't know what they want, they just know roughly what they're in the mood for, they can browse. And we have a TV&Movies app. And then how do we get the content? So there is different ways. So one is the back end. You may have heard of that we sort of search stuff on the internet. So we index videos, sitemaps, and everything on the internet. But also on the client side, we actually talk with devices, and we have basically the client side on the Google TV box. We talk with both physical and also virtual devices. So quick graphic, what it looks like. So basically, what we do is we can retrieve a channel list or a list of DVR recordings directly from your set-top box, if it supports it. And we have a lot of devices that are currently integrated this way. And that's how we generate, basically, the TV&Movies application, which aggregates all the content that's available from your, in this case, satellite provider. Maybe it includes also DVR recordings that you have made. And it also can, I'll show later how we can get content from the internet into this. And when you change channels, then you just send the command back to the satellite box. So when the user searches, this is what our search experience looks like. This is what our browsing experience looks like. And when you pick a movie and you want to play back a movie, you basically get a list of sources. So for example, this movie that I picked, it may already be on my local DVR. It may be available from Dish, or I can get it from Amazon. And the question that I always get is, well, how can I get my stuff in here? So I am the new and exciting video provider. How can I get in there? And we'll talk a little bit about that. So just to clarify some of the terms, we have one-way pairing, which is the more traditional infrared blasting way of talking with devices. And then when we talk about pairing, we talk more about the two-way case, where we not just change channels on a device, but we also read information back. And I'm actually going to hand over to Mark in a second, and he can explain how we do this, how we integrate one device. So the use case that we're trying to solve now is, okay, you have your Google TV at home, you have a new device that you bought, or as a manufacturer, you're building a new device. How can you integrate this with your device? So, Mark. Let's see.
Okay, so we're going to talk about how do you build your own media device. And what a media device is basically similar to a device driver. It's a software component that actually communicates with some external device. It's packaged as an APK, and you can install it by downloading it from the Google Play Store. And a media device really consists of three basic components. There's what we call the Media Device Controller Service, which is a standard Android service. And this service hosts one or more actual media device controllers. There's a setup activity, which is used to initially pair your device with Google TV. And finally, there's a settings activity in case your device has any user configurable options that can be changed at any time. So this is kind of an overview of our media devices framework. We have the TV player application, which communicates with the media devices service, and the media devices service is a standard component of the Google TV platform. The main job of the media devices service is to coordinate access to media devices, and for each session with a media device, it maintains the instance of the Google TV media player. So all this stuff that's in gray is stuff that's already implemented, and the white portion is what you would implement to create a new media device. So essentially we have a media device controller service, which hosts the device controller instance, and that in turn talks to the actual device. So the device controller service, as we said, is a standard Android service. It interfaces to one or more media devices. The things it does is notify the system when the device comes online and goes offline. It notifies the framework when the channel is changed on the device and so on. It can also report information from the device, like its channel lineup, its list of DVR recordings if it has them, and so on. So when we implement a new media device controller service, our framework provides a base class for this, so you don't have to build it from first principles. We subclass abstract device controller service, and we fill in some details. The main things we do here is we construct our device object. The device object just basically describes the attributes of the device, its capabilities, and so on. And we construct our device controller instance for that device. So here is a simple example of some hypothetical device with some various options enabled. And the final thing we can do here is we can register a timer to call us back at fixed intervals so we can check for channel updates in case our device is the type that has a channel lineup that can change over time. So now the final thing we implement is the device controller. This is the actual component that talks directly to your device through whatever protocol that device publishes. So one thing we do is we handle user key press events, like if you press channel up, channel down, fast forward on your remote, that gets passed to the device controller for processing. And we also handle tune requests. So if we get one of our TV URIs to tune to a channel or a DVR recording or whatnot, that gets processed as well.
Actually, I just want to quickly highlight one thing, so just to make sure you don't miss the last part of the slide. So basically, when you have this device controller, you can do tune requests to local URLs, TV URLs, or you can go to like HTTP URLs or other URLs using streaming services. So that basically ties back to the first part of the talk where Andrew explained how you can just use the GTV media player to play back streaming media. So the DVR recording that can come either from your HDMI in, from your local DVR, or it can come through a streaming protocol from basically anywhere from the cloud. So this is basically a very elegant way to tie the streaming together and make it transparent, look just like a local device connected in your living room.
Okay, so as we mentioned before, the media device session holds the actual media player instance. So as Christian described, for a physical device that's just connected to an HDMI port, the device controller would tell the session, yes, I want to tune to HDMI port number 2 or whatever that happens to be. But if this is a virtual controller that's representing a virtual device that's streaming media over the internet, it would provide the appropriate URL or data source to the media player as necessary. So when we implement a device controller, again we provide a subclass or a base class in our framework. You subclass device controller, and the main two things you would do here is implement this method perform action, which is handling things like channel up, channel down, or user actions from the remote, and tune to channel, where given a channel number, we need to tune to that channel. So in this case, we would translate the channel number to an appropriate video URI for the media player to play, and then we would call a base class method to notify the framework that we want that the media player instance in that media device session to start playing that stream. So in addition to those things, the typical things you would implement are a setup or a pairing activity. This is just an example of the pairing activity from the Dish DVR integration that we have on our existing devices. So in this example activity, we send a command to the DVR saying, we want to pair. The DVR displays the confirmation code on the video stream, and then the user has to enter that code to accomplish the pairing. And then finally, if you have any user configurable settings for your device, we can implement a settings activity. This is just a standard Android preferences activity that gets installed into Google TV's settings application. And this is, again, an example of Dish Network's, the Dish DVR settings, where we can configure things like the behavior of the fast-forward, rewind keys, and so on. And we can also display some status information about our device, like the IP address and so on.